Why choose Austin, Texas to stay, and why not Vegas after your career?
No, no Vegas.
Why not Vegas?
No. I mean, I had come to Dallas and I had explored Austin at the same time and wanted to see what's going to be better. And I mean, look at the beauty of Austin. It's beautiful. It's perfect.
It feels a lot like
Yeah,
I'm in my granddad's garden.
and the same energy is there, and discussions are also going on the same lines actually.
Yeah, but the chai is not the same.
No, now it is.
Now it's black coffee.
It's black coffee.
It's not chai anymore. So I think everyone knows that the United States has imposed a 26% reciprocal tariff on goods imported from India. So before we go ahead, I want to make it very clear what tariffs are in the context that we're talking about it. So when we say that there is a 25% blanket tariff on all steel imports, that means that whenever steel is imported into the country, whoever imports the steel has to pay a 25% tariff on that. And normally, this 25% tariff is passed on to the consumer, which makes it more expensive for American companies and American consumers to buy steel. So they have to rely more on domestic producers. Just higher tariffs don't only just reduce imports, they can also lead to reducing exports. Higher tariffs mean it's more expensive for American companies and American people to buy international goods. When that happens, they end up spending less dollars in the foreign markets. What that means is that the supply of dollars in these foreign markets will reduce, which will make the value of the dollar higher. But in reality, what also happens is that because the value of the dollars become higher, it becomes more expensive for other economies around the world to come in and buy American goods also. Which is why not only are the imports reducing, but the exports are also reducing. That's why a lot of economists are saying that, this is not really going to fix a trade imbalance and a trade deficit. I think the deficit will get reduced because the value of the dollar will become more expensive. Yes, more economies are now going to be prohibitive in buying more dollars and exporting more from here. But in reality, they were not buying much from America to begin with if it's not software, which is the industry that I come from initially. But in general as well, it's going to have a lasting impact on increasing the value of the dollar.
You think the dollar will strengthen against the rupee?
I think for some time, definitely. I think, March end happened and India had so much foreign investment that poured into it, right? That caused so many dollars to enter the RBI's reserve. What happened was that you saw the dollar go down. Now, what's going to happen is that that's a one-time investment. So they have the RBI has surplus dollars coming inside its economy. Now, from our perspective and Raveum's team perspective, this entire US tariffs is going to make it considerably harder for any international economy to get dollars, even India. Which means that we expect the dollar to become stronger over time. Right? India's goal is not to increase the number of dollars it holds. Yes, it may want to reduce the demand for dollars in the market and become less reliant on it. But truly, I think the US dollar will strengthen because of this, because the demand for it is existing. The foreign reserves are held in dollars as well. Supply is reducing by these US tariff laws. And at the end of the day, these are still reciprocal tariffs. These are not one-way tariffs that are coming into it, right? And beyond that, I think India as an economy is very diverse. It's not very reliant on US exports to begin with. So that's going to definitely cushion the impact as much as it can. But yeah, to answer your overall question, the US tariffs are going to make the dollar stronger in the foreign economies for sure. Against the rupee will definitely have a softened blow. But I think that now the idea of more foreign funds flowing into India, especially in US dollars, that's going to become a little bit more difficult. Well, BlackRock last year moved close to $1 billion in India, right? We were in BKC. We heard the transaction happen. Now all of us knew about it. Now you see more capital move into the US, Indian stock markets and everything else. But I think now more foreign inflow is definitely going to be a little bit more restricted. Unless Modi comes up with that bilateral trade agreement that they're trying to talk about right now. Now, key Indian exports that have been affected are electronics, gems, jewelry, and textiles. And some sectors, like the pharmaceutical sector, are not affected by this at all because America wants to import its pharmaceuticals as much as it feels. The impact that economists are saying is that on the Indian economy, it's going to be moderate, but certain sectors will face challenges. Can you give me a little bit of context about these tariffs and the kind of sectors they're going to affect?
So I think of course, these tariffs are, very disturbing. But you have to look at the tariffs in a larger picture. India has a huge opportunity. For example, plastic products. Now, India they've imposed a tariff of 26%. On China, they've imposed a tariff of 34%. On Vietnam, they've imposed a tariff of 46%. On Thailand, they've imposed a tariff of 36%. The plastic industry in India can actually take advantage of the situation and start exporting more plastic products to US, because the cost of their plastic products landing in the US will be much cheaper than the same when they're coming out of other Asian countries. Now, same is, let's say, for example, with paper products. Paper products, again, this 26% tariff. On China is 34%, on Vietnam 46%, on Thailand it is 36%. People who are supplying paper products, they are at advantage. Although that 26% was not there earlier, but if you see the comparison, I think this has a lot to do with the relationship between Modi and Trump.
I think electronics could be better.
Electronics,
India is electronics producing. I'm surprised that they didn't give it to us.
Apple is there.
But then how come South Korea had a lesser tariff than we did?
It's only a percent.
That's 2.
No, it's electronics is India is 27.41, South Korea is 25. So it's 2.4%.
But then the same flip scenario, you're talking about India having the advantage over other countries. It's only about 2% off by other countries also, right?
No, in comparison to other countries, electronics, China is 54%.
Okay, China, that's different.
Vietnam
I'm not
is-
talking about China.
Vietnam is 46%. These are manufacturing.
Agriculture?
In agriculture, India is 32.29, China is 54.
I think we should stop talking about China.
Vietnam is 46, Thailand is 36.
So there are some close competitors.
Yeah, but still India has a clear advantage in most of the products, you know.
So these are reciprocal tariffs, right? So I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, if they're planning on tariffing other countries, baseline 10%, sure. But exactly what they tariff them by. Couldn't India at the end of the day just reduce its tariffs towards the US, and because it's reciprocal, so they could control the tariff themselves, right? If they impose a 14% tariff on the US, the US would by part impose a 14% tariff on India, right? So there is some certain degree of control that they would have right now.
I'm sure that is what is running in the government's mind in India, because I see a lot of things happening. For example, today China decided that they're going to impose reciprocal tariffs. 54%. 54%. If US is doing, we'll do it. They want to do tit for tat. But in case of India, they are not thinking like this. India is thinking, let's see what they have imposed. Let's find opportunities within these options that have been given to us. Let's go back and meet Mr. Trump and tell him what we can do, how things can be made better for India and also better for US. So I think India is a very smart country in terms of trying to make things happen for both the countries. Here, the relationship between Trump and Modi plays a very, very important role. And I could see that in the tariffs. It's written there. Now, for example, textile and garments. India has imposed 35%, whereas China is 54%, Vietnam is 46%, Bangladesh is 37%. So there is a whole room of opportunity here if you look at it with a clear lens, that there is a big advantage. Even if you think about gems and jewelry, they've imposed 26% on India, and they have imposed 34%, 45% and 54% respectively on other countries. So again, clear advantages on India. So one has to think in those terms and take this as an opportunity for those manufacturers who are in this business. They can actually export more, earn more dollars, bring more dollars to the country, and I think it'll be all fine.
Well, I mean, that's the case with everywhere but electronics. So electronics, South Korea has the lowest tariffs. No heck yeah. India is higher than South Korea.
India is higher than South Korea, and as well as this problem is there with steel. Now, India is a big producer of steel.
Yeah. What's the tariffs in steel?
Steel, all countries are standard 25%.
Is it? No,
Yeah.
it's
So everybody is on same. So, but India is a big manufacturer of steel, so that is where they will have probably some issues.
But if steel have kept at blanket 25%, I assume that is not reciprocal. And then that's the standard tariff.
Standard, yeah.
Standard tariff. They
Reciprocal,
can't control
we
that.
can't do anything on that.
You can't control
Yeah,
that.
you can't control anything on that.
What about agriculture though?
We are at 32%, whereas China is 54%, Vietnam is 46%, and Thailand is 36%. So we are at 32%, which is the lowest in terms of all the tariffs that have been laid out. So I think India has a big advantage on getting the agricultural products export, continue that in the US or increase even that, because the other countries, let's say if China had a share of 5% towards the agricultural products exports, that will reduce and that can be taken over by India. Same is the case with toys. Now toys, India has 27% only, China has 54%, Vietnam 46%, and Thailand 36%. So, and as I've heard that a lot of companies which have started manufacturing toys, I've come across few companies, and there's a huge demand of toys over here, and which was earlier being fulfilled by China. So I think India can definitely look at that side and start exporting in toys industry. What I see here also is about pharmaceutical, which have not been imposed any tariffs until now. They have been left. But what I have heard is it is left only for now.
It will come.
It will come. What it will come at, it will also come at certain rates which will not be acceptable to the world, but it will come.
But America also is the biggest consumer of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
People over here prescriptions here are rampant.
Yeah.
So I mean, America needs pharmaceuticals more than I assume most other countries do.
The goal here is that Trump wants people to buy the product which are made in America. If the other countries' products are more expensive than the ones which are made in US, then people will automatically start buying the products which are made in the US. And that's the idea. Apart from that, that is going to help in making the balance of payments position also better for the US. So it's all whatever Trump is doing, I think he's doing a great job in terms of putting things in place for the future of the US.
Every time I go look at traditional media and look at the old school economists, they talk about recession, right? Recession coming in the US, all this stuff. Now we're in the industry of real estate, personally speaking, me and you both, right? From our perspective, this is pretty good news, right? Even Trump said today that it's like putting a country through surgery. It's about, it has to go down a little bit and the market can go up. Now in general, whether recession comes naturally or it comes by artificial improvement, like the way it comes right now, the economy has to promote spending in it, right? And the best way it can do that is to drop interest rates, as historically all economies do, right? So by dropping of interest rates, people will be buying more houses. So at least from our perspective, whether there's a recession coming, not coming, it's irrelevant, because what Trump has done right now is that he's creating a sort of scenario where capital appreciation of properties has scope in America. Now, what do? We talk about, in international markets, we talk about forex gain, stability, and we talk about rental income. But for the first time, because of this administration and the action it's taking over here, there is considerable scope also for capital growth. Because you're not looking in the next 1 or 2 months to make 30x. But if things happen and the interest rate goes down because they want to promote expenditure within the economy, because they have to do that at some point, the opportunity to make money through capital appreciation is very, very evident. That's something that I think is a very, very big part that people are not even thinking about right now. When you talk about US tariffs and this going bad and the Dow futures being lower and international economy is being adjusted, in our business, this is good. Because real estate strength comes out in times of instability, of uncertainty. That's when property markets really shine. Commercial market forecasts are high in America. Goldman Sachs is back in the market. We're seeing ourselves property 7% cap rate, 8% cap rate. Compared to last year, you were stuck at 6%, 6.5%. So you're seeing that market rebound over here. And domestic spending at the end of the day will require domestic manufacturing, which will require more warehouses, which will require more third-party fulfillment, second-party fulfillment, which will require more supporting businesses. So commercial market
is going to grow. Yeah. This whole tariff thing which has come in is a huge opportunity for India. And all these things that are happening, like Dow Jones has gone down by 5%, I think these are all temporary.
Correct. Yeah.
This is not going to stay.
Yeah.
Which other administration in past has come in the US and has taken a decisive step like this? Just because you want to see that my country is getting better or not. I have to see that US gets better. That's a good thought. Yeah, it will have pain. It will give pain to people, to consumers, to countries, to everybody. But people who understand this, they will know he is doing for the future of the US. If there is prosperity across board in the US, in the consumers, whoever will invest in the US will ultimately earn.
Yeah.
And a partner like India, which is there with the US for many years, and because of the relationship that Modi has and Trump has with Modi and both of them together. Well, I've seen him how he does when Modi came over here. Trump actually stood up. He took his chair for Modi to sit down. And Modi sat and then he pushed his chair inside. That kind of respect you get only when you are close to each other. And that shows in the tariff.
In the tariffs, yes.